Greetings, I'm Angelos, I'll be your host and you're watching The Papa's Film Show. Cue the intro. So, this is actually a bit of an impromptu episode. I wasn't actually planning on recording anything The Papa's Film Show related for the next couple of weeks at least. But something happened and I actually really wanted to talk about it, and I kinda already started doing that over on Mastodon. Basically, I want to talk about Katie Plasma. Not only the mega release of 6 and 6.1 point whatever we're up to, but Katie Plasma in general, because I don't think that I've had a worse experience with a desktop environment ever. So let's start from the beginning. Actually, Katie Plasma was the first ever desktop environment that I used when I first came to Linux. I jumped on Linux with Debian 10 Buster after Chris Titus Tech video on it, and I loved it. I used Katie Plasma for a couple of months at least, probably around 3 months or so, before I started my distro hopping, which led me through a number of different Linux distros and different desktop environments. And the one that I've stuck to the most is GNOME. I've been a GNOME user for over 4 years and I've been using vanilla GNOME. I don't use any extensions, alright, I use one, that's the tray icons reloaded, and I also use the, what's the name of it? The desktop logo that Fedora used by default. I just like having the Fedora logo on my background, okay? But yeah, other than that, I use stock vanilla GNOME because I love it. I'm a minimalist and I just prefer having a minimalist desktop environment. I don't like having a lot of options, not because it's bad having a lot of options, I like having options, but because it clutters the interface and it makes everything 1,000 times more confusing. For instance, I never used Audacity to record one of these podcasts, although it's the biggest app for audio recording. Why, you might ask? Because I prefer having simple solutions. For instance, back when I was using my main computer to record these videos, podcasts, although sometimes I am recording a video, right now I am, from my phone, although I'm not sure if I'll actually keep the footage or not. We'll see. Back when I was recording the podcast on my main production machine, which I currently use for notes, I was using the GNOME Sound Recorder app, and it was amazing. Super simple. I never had to do anything, just start recording and then export the file. I think it exports to M4A or something. I can't remember honestly. Or WAV. Can't remember. But yeah, I was just exporting it and straight to the video editing software that I used, which is DaVinci Resolve, and I still use DaVinci Resolve, although sometimes I use Final Cut Pro, but most of the time it's DaVinci Resolve. And bam, like that, everything was working out of the box, no need to do anything. Right now I'm recording from my MacBook Pro, and I'm using Apple's voice memos. And it's exactly the same app as GNOME audio recorder or whatever it's called. I just plugged my mic in, started recording, and it automatically recognized that I probably want to record from this mic, my Razer Siren Mini, and it switched automatically. And it's working amazingly fine. And after I finish recording, I just drag and drop the audio recording straight to Finder, and it just saves and exports best settings automatically. I don't have to do anything, and I love it. But yeah, I'm a minimalist. I got sidetracked a bit, but I am a minimalist. I love having a minimal desktop experience and desktop environment. That's probably why I love GNOME so much. It has not a lot of options when it comes to changing the feel of the desktop environment and how it works, but that's what I like. I don't want to change how GNOME works because I love the way it works, basically. Now, for the past couple of years, I always wanted to get back to using Katie Plasma. Not sure why, just because I wanted something different. But every single time that I would get back into Katie Plasma, I found myself doing the same things. I never tried a different theme. I just like Breeze, and I don't like installing different themes that don't look nearly as good as Breeze or other default themes. And I would always either keep the desktop exactly the way the devs created it, or try to mimic the GNOME workflow. And these are two big red flags that I should not be using KD Plasma, I should be using GNOME. But anyway, every single time my experiment with KD Plasma would just fail miserably. And why is that, you may ask? Because the actual desktop would be a pile of hot trash. Completely unusable, full of bugs, and 99.8% of the times that I use Plasma, the main question I have is, how could the devs release this and be like, yeah, this is a stable enough release? Because every single time that I'm trying to do anything with Plasma, it just crashes. The whole system, it's completely unresponsive, can't ever change to a TTY, nothing. And I had this issues with Plasma all the way back to version like 5.10, 12, when I first started experimenting with Linux, not fully switching over. That was, I think, before Debian 10. I can't remember. But yeah, when Plasma 6 came out, I was like, maybe it's finally time to give Plasma another go, another opportunity to show itself. And who knows, maybe I love it. And I really, really, really wanted to love KD Plasma. So I grabbed, what was it? Fedora Kinoite 40, and I formatted my external SSD, which back then was Patriot Burst. I have it here actually, I can show it on the little video. It's a 120 gigs SSD, Patriot Burst. And I would install Kinoite, upgrade all the way to Plasma 6.0.1. I can't remember the actual version of Plasma. Or maybe, no, it was 6.1, I think. Probably, because it was like less than a month ago. But anyway, doesn't matter. And it was the worst experience I've ever had with Plasma and with any desktop environment. Like, let's start from the beginning. Right after installing, I decided to go with the GNOME workflow this time. So I moved the panel from the bottom all the way to the top, and I create a brand new panel, and make it like my dock, which is something that Plasma lets you do now. Amazing. But I had two main problems with that. The first one was that I had floating panels enabled for both of the panels because I think it looks good. And every single time I would maximize an application, the window of the app would maximize all the way to my screen edge, and then the panel would go on top of it. It would stop being a floating panel, it would attach to the screen edges, but the app was maximized all the way to the top edge of my display. So basically, I could not close the window without unmaximizing it first, which was horrible. I'm not sure what happened there. I tried updating it. I think that I submitted a bug report. Or no, I tried to submit a bug report, but the system was completely broken that day, so I did not. And it was a horrible experience. The dock worked fine, perfectly fine. But the top bar, no. The only way that I managed to stop doing it is to set the top bar, the top panel, to intelligently hide. That's the only way that I managed to get it to work, which is annoying and not how I like to use my computer. I like to have a top bar always visible no matter what. But that wasn't the worst part about the experience. Sure, it was annoying, but I could still use it. The worst part was that whenever I was trying to do anything session-wise, so log out, lock my screen, suspend, hibernate, shut down or reboot my computer, right after pressing the command, the system would completely crash. My pointer would not move, my mouse. I wouldn't get a black screen, I would just get a freeze frame basically of my desktop of Plasma. I was trying Control Alt F1, F2, F3, F4. Nothing. I couldn't switch to the TTY, and I just had to manually reset my computer from the power button, which is not something that I like to do often, and it was extremely annoying. And this was what actually made me completely ditch Plasma once and for all, because I'm never going back to that mess. Now, Plasma does some things right, like for instance, I like the integration it has with Firefox and other browsers, and that when I'm downloading a file from Firefox, I get a permanent notification from Plasma showing the info and the percentage and time left and stuff. I love that. I also love how the same method is used to display file actions. So whenever I was copying file from Dolphin, not from Dolphin, with Dolphin, what am I saying? The experience was amazing because I would just get that notification at the bottom of my screen. I could quit Dolphin with the window at least, and it would still go on in the background. And it was amazing. This is something that I still love up to this date, and I don't think that any desktop environment has as good notification systems nor integration, like file transfer notifications, than Plasma. That's, for me at least, is the best. Also, one thing that I love about Plasma is that they change it now, but you can still change it back, is that when you alt-tab, you can get a sidebar, so your open windows will be displayed on the left side of the screen, and I think that's cool because it's completely different to what all the other desktops are doing, and I like that. Now, both of these things that I said that I love are things that most Plasma users hate, and that I can see the KDE team rolling back, like they already changed the alt-tab behavior by default. Maybe they'll do the same with Dolphin, I don't know, I don't want to, but who knows. And so, yeah, every single time that I try to use Plasma, it's always horrible and it never works, and maybe sometimes it breaks my system, like it did with KDE Neon. When I tried to update, I could not boot anymore, I could not save my installation, I couldn't do anything, which I think is not a good thing, but that's probably a KDE Neon thing and not a KDE Plasma thing. But still, made by kinda the same people. But now, is this podcast episode just to hate openly on the KDE team and KDE Plasma? No, not really. These are my personal opinions, and it's just me saying that I don't like Plasma and I've had terrible experiences with it. This doesn't mean that it's the same for everyone. I know a lot of people that love Plasma and that use it every day and have no issues whatsoever with it, and they are super happy with their Plasma, and kudos to them, I guess. I don't know. I'm happy for them, and I know that KDE has an amazing developer team, and I know that they listen to the people. Not like GNOME, like GNOME is a bit, but I know that they have an amazing development team, and this is not me hating on the development team or the project actually. I think that what they've done is amazing. I could never do it, but just me saying that I don't like Plasma for me, for my use case. I just prefer the minimalist and kind of different ways that GNOME operates. Like, they don't follow the regular way that the desktop environment is supposed to work. They don't mimic Windows, and they don't really mimic Mac. I'm not sure why everyone says that GNOME mimics the Mac operating system, like the Aqua desktop environment, which I think is still called Aqua. No, GNOME is its separate thing, and that's what I love about it. Sure, it's not perfect, but it's the best one. But honestly, I also kinda wanted to make this podcast to just talk a little bit about another desktop environment, which I used to hate more than KDE Plasma, but this past month, maybe a month and a half, I actually came around to loving it, and, actually understanding why it's probably the third biggest desktop environment on Linux. And yes, it is the third biggest environment. You probably already guessed it, I'm talking about the xfce desktop environment, xfce 4. I used to absolutely hate it. I was like, why would anybody use xfce? It's horrible. But I get the appeal. It's basically if GNOME and KDE work together to create a desktop environment for underpowered systems. So, because it has some of the options that KDE has, like it has a lot of options, way too many options, but they have simplified them in a GNOME-like way. I'm not sure if this makes any sense, but it has a lot of options, but it doesn't have nearly as many as KDE Plasma, and it doesn't have the complexity and all that. They include a lot of options to make the users happy, but they won't add the toggle if one random user say, hey, I want that. And that's what I like about it. Also, one of my issues that I had with it is that it looks so old. And I realized that the issue wasn't the theme. Because the default theme, I think they use that white for GTK2 or something, is not good. I don't like it. I can say it. But I prefer it to a lot of other themes. If I was to use xfce, I would probably use the default theme and have no issues with it. The main issue that I had with xfce is how old it feels, because it has no animations and everything feels kinda not really slow, because it's not slow, it's really snappy, but it's not fluid. I'm not sure if you get what I mean. It just felt really old and like it didn't really want to work. And I can see why that is. It's because they want it to be super lightweight and they don't want to steal a lot of resources, in quotes, from the computer and the other processes that are running. A cold xfce boot uses around 100 to 200 megabytes of RAM. It's nothing super lightweight. And honestly, that's why xfce is so amazing. It's not the most modern desktop environment in the world, but it is somewhat modern. It doesn't sacrifice the functionality to make itself more lightweight like LXQT does, or the old LXD. And that's something that I really, really, really like about it. Now, would I use it as my main desktop environment? Probably yes. Like, I'm currently daily driving MX Linux, not on my main installation, just on my brand new, actually, Crucial BX500 SSD, 240 this time, double. But I am actually using it daily, not for distro dive actually, but just for me, because I want to see how MX Linux performs, and so far I'm in love with it. If you've been following me over on NAS, Nerd the Unix Shenanigans Discord server, link will be in the description. I love it, but they use XFCE by default, and if XFCE had full Wayland support, which they're working on adding, they said that they will probably include experimental Wayland session with 4.20, which is coming this December, and then in 2 years, December to 2026, with the release of 4.22, we'll most likely get a full Wayland session, which is good, and it's really fast for like a tiny team, because XFCE doesn't have like the biggest development team. It's like way smaller than KDE, way smaller than GNOME, way smaller than Cinnamon. It's like probably the smallest development team, but they're doing an amazing job. Now, my only other complaint with XFCE is that they could offer animations to make the desktop fluid, but just as an opt-in feature. You have to download another component and then configure it. But I think that would be amazing, and I would definitely use it as my main desktop. Like, I love it. But yeah, that's all I had time to rant for today. Super tiny podcast episode, I know. Also, my notes are completely useless. I just have a few bullets, so probably this was an unintelligible mess. Probably this didn't make any sense, because I'm extremely tired right now. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with Plasma, why I hate it, and why I somewhat love XFCE now. Now, if you actually want to try KDE Plasma or XFCE after hearing my thoughts, then be sure to check it out. I would recommend using Fedora Kinoite for KDE Plasma. I think that's the best option you have. And then for XFCE, Fedora doesn't have an atomic version of XFCE, but probably your best experience would be with Debian Stable. And I'm saying that because Fedora XFCE spin is super minimal, it lacks a lot of tools, although it's not that bad. But I think that the most vanilla experience you can get with XFCE is probably Debian, although I haven't tried the Fedora XFCE spin in ages, so probably I'm wrong. Also, I know that the XFCE team wants to stand out and do its own thing, and that's why they have this super absurd default layout. But come on, no one thinks that that's a good desktop layout. Honestly, please don't do something else. Just... it's not good. Although I'm not hating on it. It's super easy to change it and customize it. Actually, you can install an app, or what's it called? An XFCE component. It's called XFCE for panel profiles, I think. And you can export your configuration. And whenever I do a fresh install of XFCE, I just plug a USB drive that has my configuration, and I just reset everything to the way I like it, which is basically how MX Linux already configures it. So, yeah. So, that's about it from me. This is probably a bonus episode, although I'm not gonna put it over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that as a bonus episode. It's gonna be its own thing, just because, why not? I haven't done one of these in a while. Will the podcast be back, actually? I don't know. probably. I really like doing podcasts. I sometimes prefer to doing videos just because this is a lot less scripted than a normal video, although I haven't scripted a main channel video in ages because of my break. But it wasn't really a break, let's be honest. But yeah, that's about it. You can find me in the description. No, you can't actually find me. I won't be hiding in there. You can find a link tree to all my other stuff and projects that I'm working on at the moment. And that was the Purpose Film Show, where this is season 2 technically still. I'm not sure what I'll do with that format. Maybe it has to go away. Maybe I'll keep seasons internally. I don't know yet. But that was probably episode 3. I can't remember for the life of me. But yeah, have a good one.